Today we're going to talk about why you guys can't catch fish during the fall. Now let's get one thing straight. The fall is one of the best times of the year to get out and catch some trout, but it can be tricky. Today I'm going to take you guys out on the water and go over the top 5 reasons you aren't catching trout and what to do to get out there and catch some more fish so you're not sitting around missing out on these incredible time of year that you could be fishing. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. The first reason you guys might not be catching trout in the fall is often in the fall, the water levels drop and the water gets ultra clear. And that happens lakes, creeks, rivers, you name it, all those bodies of water. They're usually dropping, especially if you're out here in the west. But in my opinion, it can help you just as much as it hurts you. Those fish are gonna be able to see you a lot easier, and they can be really finicky and spooky. But if you can keep a low profile, stay off the water, keep your shadow off, make sure those trout aren't seeing you, use your surroundings like some trees or some tall grass to your benefit, you can get clear casts at those fish without them seeing you. And oftentimes, they're gonna be able to see that insect, see that fly, see that lure a lot easier because the water level is lower and the water is clear. Also, something that you guys can do that I'm doing here today, I'm coming to a lake that is less affected by the changing water levels here in the fall, and that is a high mountain spring-fed lake. This water is getting fed by springs year-round, and so although the temperature of the lake changes, the water clarity stays pretty much stained year-round. And so what that allows me to do is to be able to come out here and target these fish when they're moving shallower, but I still have the added protection of that cloudy water helping mask my movements and casts a little bit. So I'm telling you guys right now, if you're fishing these high mountain lakes, stained, clear, whatever, you got to be throwing on a little black leech. It is a little windy up here today, and the stained water makes this black leech absolutely perfect. But this is what we're going to be starting off with. Let's get down there, and I'm going to show you guys why fishing in the fall is absolutely incredible. I made my way down to the water, got set up, and it took no time at all till we got our first fish of the day. Got him. Got him. Oh, come on. Come on, buddy. Oh, nice fish. It is a good little rainbow. First fish of the day. Come here, buddy. Grab this net. All right, come on. Cooperate, buddy. Come here and cooperate. He is not happy. Come on. And there he goes. Whew, got him. Awesome fish. Come on, buddy, relax. Mouthful of that leech. Pop that sucker out. There we go. Boom, that's what did it. So that right there is a gorgeous little rainbow trout, our first fish of the day. The less desirable species that calls this lake home, but still an awesome fish to catch. As I gracefully release this trout, keep in mind that the fall often brings low and clear water, and today I found the opposite. Between the wind and the natural springs stirring up the sediment in this water, I masked my movement and my casting in order to capitalize and catch a trout. Now we're going to move spots and move on to the second reason you guys might be struggling to catch fish in the fall. To the second reason you guys are having trouble catching trout in the fall is with cooling water temps. Now, it is true that trout are cold-blooded and they do absolutely thrive when the water is chilly, but they get used to that warmer water in the summer, especially the hatches. They go from feeding on those early morning hatches and late evening hatches to feeding primarily in the afternoon. It's mid-afternoon now, that sun's getting low in the sky, but anywhere in the west, that afternoon sun is going to produce some bugs. And when those hatches are popping off, it gets those fish active. And I brought you guys to a river today to showcase that. Let's get down there. I started off using an inline spinner, and the fish couldn't turn this thing down. One after another, it was fish after fish after fish. This is a perfect example of the kind of fishing you can have when you optimize your trips and go when the fish are most active. But there was still a small problem, and that's the fish. They were absolutely tiny. So I decided to make a move and move on to our next spot. We have made it to our third spot in this video, and that's going to be fishing a larger river. Now, the reason I'm here is that the third reason you guys are struggling to catch fish in the fall is that you're fishing during a period of time where the fish are actively spawning or in preparation to spawn. When fish like brown trout and brook trout are moving to spawn in the fall, their main priority goes from feeding to reproducing. So they're not as likely to hit, your fly or your lure. The way to get around that is targeting those larger fish, especially when you're throwing streamers, reaction style lures, like an inline spinner. The key is getting that reaction strike out of those larger trout. It's important to note to not fish for actively spawning trout, but a lot of the times those bigger fish will only push up to spawn when they need to, and those are going to be those larger females, and they'll push back to deeper water, undercuts on the bottom of the river during late fall, and they can be really tough to get to bite. But throwing something that gets a reaction out of those trout is one incredible way to do that. Let's get down to the water and show you guys that in action. There we go. We got him. That's what we're after. That's what we're after. What do we got? Ooh, a pretty brown trout. All right, come on, buddy. Not a bad fish. Get in the net. Let's go. All right, let's pop that hook out, buddy. Hook popped out. Let's show her off. Let's see if I can't hold her up for you guys. There we go. This trout is freezing cold. A beautiful, probably only 15-inch trout. Come late fall, when those fish are doing anything but eating your lure, you gotta be grateful for whatever you can catch. A gorgeous little fish here. Let's get this beautiful trout back in the water. Gorgeous trout. See you, girl. Whew. The water level is also clear. It's also low. It's important to not spook these trout, as I'm just sitting in the middle of the river here. But it's important for me to show that fish off, make sure it's released properly. Reaction bites on, man. Let's keep freaking casting. There we go. Let's go, guys. Another beautiful brown trout here. Let's get her in the net. Boom. Whew, all right. About the same size as the last one, I'd say. These trout are incredibly cold, but they're still biting. That's all we care about. There we go, hook's out. Let's show her off. All right, guys, not a giant, but another gorgeous little trout. Look at that, another gorgeous trout. Same, probably about 15 inches or so. Not the big mamas we're after, but these fish are actively feeding, and that reaction strike is what's getting them. I think it goes to show you guys that reaction strike is worth giving it a shot, especially if you guys are fishing larger rivers. Let's get a release on this girl. All right, see you, girl. There she goes. All right, that's gonna bring us to the fourth reason why you guys might not be able to catch trout in the fall, and that's gonna be that the insect activity dies off like crazy. But peak day sun is where you can get some warmth on that water and get some hatches going. So no longer are you looking at those early morning to late evening feeding windows. You're targeting the middle of the day. And some of the biggest trout I've caught have been between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And that's because the insect activity peaks at that time. And those trout, even though there's a lot less insect activity, they still key in on those hatches, regardless on if they're hitting dry flies or what have you on top. It brings them out of that, lethargic mood that they can be in when the water is a little colder. And they still thrive in that cold water, but they're not often feeding, which can be a really big issue if you're out here targeting those trout, right? So the reaction style lures are gonna be a huge player. I'm here between 10 and 2 today, but as we continue to fish, I guarantee you we'll get on a couple larger ones as they push out to feed. Let's keep casting. That was only like second cast. Probably one more out of this spot. That sun's starting to peek out a little bit. It'll start kicking some fish out into these runs. There we go. Did I call it or did I call it? What do we got? Oh, same size. Same size. Come here, buddy. Let's pop that hook out. There we go. A little bit smaller of a fish, but still, pushing 14 inches or so. Pretty fish, not the jumbos we're after. She's ready to get back in there. Let's get her back. There you go. Feisty fish. Feisty fish. Literally next cast. What did I tell you guys? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, if you can find a way to get out during that feeding window, then that's going to be your ticket, especially for trout. There we go. Calm down. Oh gosh, no way. Whew. You guys hopefully just saw that on the GoPro. That hook popped out of that fish. That's kind of unbelievable. That hook just popped out of that fish, guys. That's crazy. I don't know if you guys saw that. That hook popped out of that fish. I think I turned my GoPro off instead of on. Rookie mistake. But this is a really pretty fish. Not as big, or about the same size as the last one. Not as big as those first couple. That one just looks like a fall trout. Gorgeous, little kype on her. Not a bad fish. But I don't know, this one's probably pushing, a skinny 16. Can't complain. We're out here catching fish. Just beautiful, beautiful trout. I'm trying to see if we can't get on a fish that looks like this, but it's just like pushing like 20s. That'd be crazy. Let's get her back in the water. Getting back in there. See ya. There she goes. All right, well, it seems to be picking up here. We're freaking catching them, that's for sure. Let's get a slightly different angle for you guys. Let's see if we can get another one out of this hole. As you catch more and more trout, it gets harder and harder. As I say that, that's a good one. That's a nice one. Calm down, come to Gibby. That's what we're after right there. That's a beauty. Right on. That's a tank. Come here, girl. Oh, I'm not gonna forgive myself if this fish pops off. Oh, let's go. Now that's the 18-inch fish we're after. Not a monster. I mean, it's a gorgeous trout. Pop this hook out. Look at that fish, guys. Wow. I think I'd call that an 18-inch fish. I'd call that 18 inches all day. That's a gorgeous brown trout. Deep cold creek colors on that brown trout. Just an unbelievably gorgeous fish. Moving out, just like I said they would, as that water temp starts to warm up and that sun is just getting higher. Awesome fish. Let's get her back in the water. See it, girl. That's a beautiful fish. There she goes. Wow, those fish are so much fun to catch. Just an absolute blast to come out here and target those. Man, it's on fire today. I'm telling you guys, fall fishing can be one of the best times of the year to catch trout. You just got to know what to do to give yourself a better chance at catching those fish. And now we'll go on to number 5, the last reason you guys might not be catching trout, and that's inclement weather. You know, the fall is when cooler temperatures start to push down, the water temperature changes, different types of evaporations coming off the landscape, and that can be a recipe for kicking up storms. If you're here in the mountains of Colorado, it's the late season rains, even some of those first couple snowfalls of the year, we start to see a little more moisture, and these types of storms can have huge impacts on the barometric pressure, and those fish can shut off in an instant, right? So my biggest point here is to fish during periods before change, right? Those fish can tell something's about to happen, tell something's coming. Whether it's good or whether it's bad for the fishing, it'll usually kickstart those fish to get moving, whether that's to feed or to find cover. And that's when you can target those larger fish and potentially get on some numbers before a storm rolls through. So I hope you guys take something from this video and those 5 tips for you guys. And we're gonna finish out this video doing some fishing, hopefully get on a large trout. Let's get freaking casting. There we go. There we go. Come on. Get in the net. Jeez, my net's too far away. All right, got her. All right, y'all, check this one out. Another beauty. Let's pop that hook. There she goes. Look at that one. Another beautiful, dark, freezing cold brown trout. That trout already looks like he's been wintering for a while, but let's get that fish back in the water. See you, girl. Boom, let's freaking go. All right, guys, that last fish was absolutely incredible, but I think that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys learned a thing or two from this video. Some key takeaways or points to emphasize is to target those deeper, slower moving pools, right? Those fish will push up to spawn a little bit in some slightly shallower water where some sun's getting on them, and you don't want to fish with those actively spawning fish, but those larger trout will sit below those spawning fish and just plink off those eggs. So focusing on those areas can be an absolute game changer. Concentrate your efforts when the water temps warm up a little bit. You know, the middle of the day, 10 to 2, is a prime spot to be able to come out here and catch some truly giant trout. A lot of times in the fall, that water level will drop and that water will clear up a lot. Those fish can be really, really finicky. So you guys have to make sure that when you're casting, you're doing your best not to spook those fish. If you can, use some natural cover, grass, trees, willows. There's a lot of that here out west. Back east, probably even more so. So make sure you guys take advantage of your surroundings so you don't spook any trout. Fishing in the fall can be one of the best times of the year that you guys can get out and catch these fish. And there's no reason why you couldn't catch your new PB after watching this video. If you guys want to watch another video that YouTube thinks you like, click over here. Hope to see you guys out in the water. Until next time, keep freaking casting.